All right, 1.6, solve linear inequalities. So when you have graphed inequalities previously, like on a number line, not like on an XY coordinate plane, you probably did it with an open circle or a closed circle, is my guess. We do not do that anymore, and that's because it's getting you ready for what's coming ahead. We use brackets and parentheses. So you're going to notice the examples in your book are still doing that, but that's not what we're going to do. So we're going to be using the brackets and parentheses, which are in your notes. So the first problems just want us to graph the inequality. So we've got x is less than -1. So normally you need to do obviously your homework in pencil, but with the stuff of like showing where the graph is going, if you want to use like a color or a highlighter or something to like show where it's going for this, you can. If not, you just need to make sure that you make it really bold when you're drawing like your arrows of like where the stuff is going so that it's clear. But so we're going to set up a number line here, and I don't usually put like a ton of numbers on it. Honestly, I kind of just put a couple and then that's it. So this is x is less than -1. So that means that I have a parentheses opening to the left, and it's going in the direction of my inequality sign. So it's parentheses if it is just less than or just greater than, and then it is bracket if it's the or equal to. So 6, x is greater than or equal to 3. And you obviously don't have to count by ones. You also don't have to like put 0 on here. Like if I wanted to start here at 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth, like that's also totally fine. As long as you have like say 3 numbers on there, it's fine. So this one is x is greater than or equal to 3. So that means I'm going to have a bracket at 3 opening to the right. And my arrow is pointing that direction. There are a couple here, like number 8, that are written backwards, so they do -2 is less than x. I would recommend to make sure that you get this going the right direction, that you rewrite this in the order of where like the x is on the left. So x is greater than -2, just to make sure that you graph it the right way. And then set up our graph here. So what is this one going to look like?
Bracket? No parentheses, 2. I can't think.
Parentheses on 2, open and close to the right.
Yep, parentheses on -2 going to the right.
I knew what I was saying.
The next ones, they give you a graph and they want you to write it out. I'm going to change the graph to be with parentheses and brackets rather than the closed circle and the open circle, but I presume that you could do that. 12, they give us the number line and it goes from -2 to 4. And then it has, for them it's an open circle, but for us it would be a parentheses at 2 going to the right and a bracket at 0 going to the left. So these are compound inequalities, just for reference. So that if you saw it, that's what theirs look like. It's the dots. So they want us to write the compound inequality. So remember, if our graph is facing inward, that's an and inequality, okay, where x is between. This one is or because it's going opposite. So this one is going to be x
is less than 0.
or equal to.
Yeah, that one.
Less than or equal to 0, or x is greater than 2. 14, we have another number line. They count in increments of 3 from -6 to 12. Well, it's sort of it. And they've got a parentheses, well, they have an open circle, but for us, parentheses at -3 and a bracket at +9, and it's facing inward. So which type is this one? And so we know that x is going to be in the middle. So x is greater than or equal, nope, just greater than -3. So -3 is less than x, and then is less than or equal to 9. So if it's facing inward, your variable should be in the middle. Now instead they want us to work I'm going to say work opposite, but they're going to give us the inequality and they want us to graph it. So 18, 5 is less than or equal to x is less than 10. So I'm going to set up my thing here. I'm going to count increments of 5 and just space them out. So what is this one going to look like?
X is greater than or equal to 5, so bracket of 5, pointing right.
So the bracket,
What did I just say? And then less than 10, so a parentheses facing 5.
Yep. And then colored in the middle. Do we need to do an or one, or are we okay? Okay. The next ones, are to solve and then graph. So 26. 11 plus 8x is greater than or equal to 7. So move the 11 over. 8x is greater than or equal to -4. Divide by 8. X. -1/2. X is greater than or equal to -1/2. And so then to graph this, I'm just going to put -1 and 1, and then when I do this, I'm just going to put it halfway between. So it's a bracket at -1/2 going to the right. Um, 32. 18 plus 2x is less than or equal to 9x plus 4.
Well, you're cowboy. Does any, never mind.
All right, so I would move the numbers to the right and then the variables to the left because ultimately I want my variables on the left. So that's going to give me negative 7x on the left is less than or equal to negative 14 on the right. Now, what happens when I multiply or divide by a negative across an inequality?
This side flips.
Yep, it's going to flip it. So x is greater than or equal to, that was a weird 2, positive 2. And then just graph it. We've got a bracket at 2 going to the right. So those problems, you do need to graph them when they say solve and graph. But for the compound inequalities solving, you don't need to graph. If you want the practice, you can, but you don't have to. We can just solve them. 38. 2 is less than or equal to x minus 3 is less than or equal to 6.
Oh, this is
So this is an and one. So remember, I'm ultimately just want the variable left by itself in the middle. So when I add that 3, I've got to add it to,
both sides.
yep, both sides. A lot of people forget to do that. And so we've got 5 is less than or equal to x is less than or equal to 9. So if I were to graph that, I'd have a bracket at 5, bracket at 9, and colored in between. Yeah. The only thing I'll say is I'm not going to make you graph on here, but for the sake of not giving you a surplus of questions on like the quiz or the test, it might be that it says solve and graph, but then you wouldn't have one that just says to graph it. Okay? It could be either way. So I'm just letting you know. I'm not making you graph these ones in your homework since there's a whole section of you just graphing those ones. But to save questions, sometimes I just push it together. All right, let's look at an or one, and then if y'all are good, then we'll be good. 46. 2 plus 3x is less than negative 13, or 4 plus 2x is greater than 7. So I would just work down one at a time. Sometimes I'm try to work them both at the same time, which is fine. You can, but I would just suggest you work one down and then work the other one. So I've got 3x is less than, subtract the 2, negative 15. And then divide by 3, x is less than negative 5. Now I want to make sure that my final answer has or between it, so I'm going to go ahead and write it so I don't forget. Over here on the other one, 2x is greater than, subtract the 4, 3. So then x is greater than 3 halves.
Oh my gosh.
Did you flip it?
Yeah.
So
That's
that
why
would
I got
be...
C.
So that would be your answer on that one. Any questions? All right, then problems are,
Yay. Oh no, I forgot my book. I don't know.
3, 7, 11, 13, 17, 19, 23, 29, And then on 39 and 45, these two are just solve. You don't need to graph those ones.